From louderwithcrowder.com. This is crazy. DOJ Chief of Public Affairs admits Trump indictments, a perversion of justice, reveals lawfare involved. Absolutely crazy video. Louder with Crowder, Mug Club undercover unit released this video. And you had this guy, his name is Nicholas Biase of the Southern District of New York. He's his official title is what? DOJ Chief of Public Affairs. Outright saying Bragg was stacking charges and like rearranging things just to make it fit a case. No, honestly, I think the case against Trump is nonsense. Every real estate person in New York does what Trump did. Nobody's ever been charged with this. It's all him. That's why. Like, Trump is surging in the polls. You know, it's a perversion of justice. Before he, Bragg, decided to prosecute Trump, did you know who he was? You do now. Alvin Bragg, who I've known for 15 years, who used to work in my office. Alvin is very ambitious. He basically goes into great detail about how this is ongoing lawfare against Trump to impact the election. And we actually have this, the New York Post covering it, saying top Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office spokesperson blasts DA Bragg over Trump prosecution in secret recording. The case is nonsense, he said. We do have a statement. Stephen Crowder says breaking update. Chief of Public Affairs Nick Biase, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, officially responded saying, I was recently made aware of a video where I regretfully made some statements in a private and social setting that don't reflect my views about two local and state prosecutions. I said these things in an effort to please and impress someone I just met who was secretly filming me. I'm deeply sorry to the local and state law enforcement officials working on these matters who deserve more respect than I showed them. I should have known better. I got something for you, guy. If you're willing to lie to a random person in public, what makes any of us think you're not lying to us now? So your words are all meaningless garbage. It's moot. Your statements mean nothing. If you can't own up to what you think or believe, you should be fired because you no longer have any credibility.
But who would fire him? He would be fired people who have even less morals and scruples than he does.
Was this a James O'Keefe media move where he was on a date with someone? Why is he trying to impress someone he had just met?
Well, this is something that's going on now. Like James O'Keefe has, with his OMG media,
well, this is Crowder,
broken out and started training citizen journalists, and now they can be anywhere, even on Stephen Crowder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, and it's amazing how open and candid they are.
The reality is,
like, yeah, I'm a corrupt.
I wish he'd double down. He'd be like, I meant everything I said. This place is the worst.
Right. The reality is this guy is terrified.
Yeah.
Of course he believes what he said in the undercover camera. And it's unfortunate, too, because before this statement, I was praising him. Like, seems like a good dude who knows what's going on. We just need good people to speak out. And then he comes out and does the opposite and says, I don't actually think that. BS. He was so quick-witted with it. He knew exactly what he thought. And he thought he could say it because he was in private, but he's terrified what this means. You people, my guy, Nick, you gotta stop. You've gotta just admit it and say to the public, this needs to stop. Otherwise, they will come for you. Mm-hmm. You cannot survive ducking and hiding behind a counter and hoping the violent mob passes you by. The moment everyone just speaks up and says enough of this, it all stops and you are at zero risk. But if you were to come out and say, of course I think these things. It was terrible. It was wrong. They shouldn't bring it. We'd be all like, bravo, sir, you're a hero. But You know what? They're scared.
Yeah, they are scared. Everybody's scared. And isn't that sort of the thing that happens? I'm hearkening back to novels from behind the Eastern Bloc, Russian, Soviet novels and from Eastern Europe. And this is what happens, right? Look at Solzhenitsyn. This is what happens. You have people start to be freaked out. They start to be scared. They couch their opinions. They lie. They obfuscate. They try to cover up and save themselves. And more, just the grip continues to tighten around the whole of society because each individual person is too scared to stand up on their own. And then you have, other people who you maybe think are your friends, and it turns out that they are actually backstabbing you or turning you over to somebody else or, reporting you to the authorities because you don't believe the right thing. And you said that and, at brunch one day. And so now they're turning you over because otherwise they're worried that they're going to be turned over or some authority has them over a barrel. So that is, that's what happens. That's what we have learned from the Soviet bloc nations and from the literary geniuses who were working behind the Iron Curtain. Václav Havel, I'm thinking of, primarily, or, even going back further, Franz Kafka or Solzhenitsyn or, Bulgakov, all of these guys.
And thinking about what he said about Alvin Bragg, that he was like, oh, he's an ambitious guy. It's like, that is total political weasel talk for, this guy will knife anyone in the back. This guy will do anything, totally unscrupulous. It doesn't matter if it's right, wrong, or in a gray area. Like, he's just in it for himself, trying to advance his political career. And you see this all the time in politics, is like, and political insiders, always tout that. They're like, oh, he's ambitious. Like, he wants to go places. And it's like, well, yeah, because he's trying to sell his soul and do anything and everything to climb the ladder.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these positions. It's somebody's like 15 minutes of power that they're trying to play into an entire career. I mean, it is interesting that this was sort of public knowledge that that this case had been rejected multiple times. Yeah. People didn't think it was worth doing. And all of a sudden you got one guy moved into the office and you got Alvin Bragg, and they were like, actually, we've decided to bring this case. And even the judge, when he sent the jury to deliberate, was like, you don't have to actually decide on which of these, like, just kind of get a consensus going. We'll see what happens. Mostly, please give us a guilty verdict, because that's what we want. I mean, I don't think that this kind of, I think this public affairs officer had a chance to really show that there is not just a monolith opinion in this office, and present the idea that possibly you could trust a system like this. And it immediately was turned into, actually, he has to fall in line, and we all are on the same page, and we have definitively decided that no matter what, Donald Trump is guilty. I think that's not good for the American psyche. There's such a low trust in government and lawfare right now, and this is only making it worse.
Oh, yeah. And it totally vindicates what Republicans are saying, is that, they are, a lot of these bureaucracies are totally unified against them. And, this guy even is willing to admit, oh, yeah, like, this is not fair, this is not right. But, when the hammer comes down on him, he's like, oh, no, what the system's doing, A-okay.
Yeah.
Absurd.
And it's the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, RFK was talking about this, the organs. That's what they always say in the old books. The organs of government, the organs.
Yeah.
It's the agencies that just swarm around.
Yeah.
Take everybody down.
And spend a lot of money. I mean, think about how much money the federal government and the state of New York have spent trying to put Trump in jail, or at least get some sort of guilty conviction. I mean, is that really the number one goal here? Do we think do we think these funds were used justly in a way that honors the contribution that taxpayers are making and the trust that elective officials have, somehow extracted from their voters? I don't think so. I don't think that this is really what anyone wants. I don't think Donald Trump, while there is a lot of Trump derangement syndrome, I don't think that Donald Trump's convictions have actually made anybody happy. It just seems like nothing is sticking, probably because there's not a reason to. And instead of saying, okay, well, we tried and we'll walk away now, there's just corruption within the system to prove a point.
Well, it's taxpayer-funded campaigning. That's basically what they're doing. Yeah.
And it was I mean, again, this is one of the things that bothers me about mainstream media, but I remember they would run these stories, especially when this New York trial was going on, being like, well, Trump has not been on the campaign trail because he is on trial, and Joe Biden's out here doing all these wonderful things. And then Trump would have these, interesting ways of connecting with the public. He did that event in New Jersey. He did something in the Bronx, and they would be like, can you believe he's doing this while he's on trial? It's like he's not even taking the trial seriously. Like, there was nothing he could do to win in an impossible situation that he was turning into something that was benefiting his campaign.
Yeah. And it was actually, I was thoroughly impressed that, like, he would spend, 6 hours, 8 hours in a courtroom, and then, like, right after he'd get on the plane and go to a rally, like, nearby. And it was just like, this man is just a machine.
Meanwhile, Joe Biden gets ousted and then takes a 2-week vacation. I mean,
he can't even make his way up the stairs,
It is funny that people are pointing out the moment he dropped out of the race, he's just dropped all pretense of being president.
Yeah, he's just not even there. Even when he was talking the other day from, what was said to be the White House, he was behind like a little play school desk at a fake set. It was like it was COVID all over again. Remember when
people also pointed out that Kamala saluted some of the I don't know if it was Marines or somebody. She was boarding the plane. She saluted them, and then someone said something like, "Only the president does that as commander in chief. Vice president has nothing, is not in this position. Should not be doing this unless she's the president."
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't respect any decorum.
Anything.
Yeah, no,
she's a fool.
She's just trying to seem presidential. I'm sure she doesn't actually care about any official protocol.
I saw somebody do this once before. Let me try it now.
The earbuds thing is funny because who has a phone with a headphone jack?
Right? Who has that anymore?
And in those photos, she just looks so pitiful. Like, is it like face
rough.
scrunched up? And it was like, ugh.
I loved watching Tim Murtaugh tweet about that because he was like, if you're going to do this, then don't put the phone to your ear like you're taking a phone call. Come on. Like they set this thing up so she can try to politely avoid the press, which, I think she should just continue on her merry way of blatantly ignoring them, because that's what she's been doing so far. I mean, do you guys remember that really amazing interview she gave us? Oh, wait, it wasn't amazing. It was very short, and Tim Walz had to hold her hand through it. I mean, this is someone who doesn't care about anything and thinks if she just mostly tries to say nothing, she can win the White House. I think the American people deserve better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tweeted out on that interview because it was supposed to be an hour, and I think they only released like 30 minutes of it, and then it was like MSNBC or CNN was like, well, it definitely wasn't a touchdown, but like we think that she moved the ball forward a little bit, and it was just like if CNN is saying that, it's just like it was not good.
It was rough. I mean, again, why is she not doing this alone?
Yeah,
she's like the girl boss, and she needs a male chaperone.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.